Rural urban meetings are annual occasions set up by the Rotary Club of Taradale to promote understanding between club members who are largely from an urban background and their near neighbours in the country. As a club-sponsored activity, it is the oldest project the club supports. It was originally proposed during the club's second year in 1960 as a rural urban committee was formed. Gil Cooper joined the club and assumed the chairmanship of this committee. 54 years later, Gil is still a club member and has clear memories of the way rural urban nights got established. So Gil, tell us about how you got the event off the ground. How did you go about it?
I was one of the very early vocational directors, and generally at the start of the year you were handed a bunch of pink documents that Rotary International provided telling you what you were supposed to be doing. And one of them, as far as vocational service, said as a suggestion, it would be a good idea to take the farmers in your area for a flight in your private plane over their properties so they could view them from the air. Well, I think my plane was having a 25,000-hour service on its motor, so that didn't work. I think it was past President Ned Holt who really pushed things along too, because he was very closely connected with Bukitap branch of Federated Farmers, and he lived up Dartmoor Road, and we really got into the feet-on situation as opposed to hands-on, and we went country. One visit that I remember in particular was to Bob Lindsay's property in Awanui Road, Awanui Station in Glengarry Road. That was at the base of the hill where the Admiralty gum trees were, which were actually noted on marine charts as a particular reference point. We were taken up there in a series of Land Rovers. It was like going up a cliff face, but there was a great view out over Hawke's Bay from the top. In alternate years, we used to bring the farmers into town and arrange a tour for them so that urban could see, or rural could see urban, and they would be taken to McDonald's Wines, to pack houses and visits to the Napier Port, and then they would come to Rotary with us that night.
It's interesting, Gil, too, that on occasions these rural-urban meetings were held on the weekend, on Saturday, which would have made it easier for people, I suppose.
Well, that's right. There's no way we could have gone farming on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
They were Saturday events when we went out. When the farmers came in, that was our Thursday night meeting.
Another one of your interesting Land Rover experiences took you to?
Yeah, it was up to Bob Whittle's property above Pukatitri, and once again we were loaded into Land Rovers and taken up to the top of the Black Birch Ridge, from where we could look across the Mohaka River to the back of Lochinver Station on the Rangitai Plains and Mount Kahara in the background. And my memory's a bit hazy now, but we did have another property visit, and that was to Bob Archibald's farm, Mount Cameron Station, which was out along Dartmoor Road. That was one where we had to do the foot slog up to the top. There was a great 360-degree view right round the farmland in the area.
Wonderful experiences, Gil, and I'm sure the attendances would have been high for those meetings because they're full of interest.
Oh, they certainly were. It's a shame that as we've all got older, we can't sort of get so much into those things now. Everybody.
So, Ron, you joined Rotary in 1974, about 40 years ago.
Did I?
Yeah, you took a keen interest in promoting the rural-urban concept and hosted a number of events here. Tell us about some of them.
Yeah, I think the adventure trips that Gil's talking about sort of was starting to go off at that stage, and we were inclined to have them in our meeting nights. And Brian Dillon from Parkawai was a member, and he would bring his orchardists along one year, and And the following year we might go out and be entertained by the orchardists, and they would come up with a speaker. We then went on evenings to Brisington and Pātoka, and it was never to raise money originally that I can remember, but in the last few years we have made a contribution to the Brisington School, and the ladies put on the dinner, and the demise of the Federated Farmers branch in this area has sort of put a bit of a stop to that. We've had quite a few do's in the woolshed over the years. I mustn't get confused between a Rotary Club Christmas party and over there's hot and cold water. Flash called it downstairs, and this guy, they were dancing, and the guys playing the music were up on the little landing there. Well, why there's more people could fit in? Half the guys will stand out here on the grading where they drink all the beer, where the trailer was. It's all pressurised, and we rolled it up the ramp here. Took a few of us to do it, I mean. Sat them against each other, and then you had all this space back.
Now that's serious, Ron. You used to bring the whole club up those steps.
Interesting speeches, John Lachlan, Brian Lahore. Who was it Brisington, the lady more recently at Brisington?
Heather Roy, the acting MP.
Yeah. And I think it was appreciated by the local farming guys too that were introduced to the Rotary system and what we were trying to achieve and trying to do.
I think too, Ron, that a lot of these farmers helped a lot with the Rotary auction with produce and product.
We had a clean out of the woolshed by the Rotaries. We sold sheepy poo at one of the auctions years ago. I think they appreciated what we were doing. We didn't make many members out of it, unfortunately. And I think one of it was the distance. I mean, we had both the Thompson boys should have been invited to join Rotary, but it's a long way to come down on Thursday nights. It's been hard to upkeep the adventures and ones that Gil were talking about. It's been hard to get them out on the weekends, and so we basically came back to Thursday evenings.
So, Rob, because of this, what Ron's just been talking about, you probably have moved in a new direction by hosting at our club, and also the Horse of the Year is the latest one that's come up. Could you expand on that, please?
I guess it's just rural urban's evolved over the years, hasn't it? And as Ron mentioned, we started to develop a fundraising sort of element to it to help charities and go out and have some fun and some fellowship while we did it. And in very recent times, we've spent 2 or 3 years at the Horse of the Year show.
The evening, I just want to take a short amount of your time just to outline the evening. I'll start very shortly with just making a couple of, I want to make a couple of presentations, one of which will be to Cure Kids as a donation from the club to that organisation. But I want to start the evening by making a special presentation to one of our members. The honour I wish to now bestow on Gordon Arthur Buckley. Gordon, would you like to come forward, please?
It's been going about 54 years now, this Rural Urban Night, believe it or not. And it's still going strong, as you just mentioned.
Well, it is, and my memories of Rural Urban started, as Ron mentioned, in a woolshed before I joined Rotary. And I was inducted into Rotary in 1994 at the rural urban meeting in the town hall. So that was great to have some of my rural friends and colleagues with me, and over that time we've been to virtually all the country halls in the district. St George's Hall, as I recall, were doing quite a big restoration at the time, and outside and inside, and we had the opportunity to get past President Ross Pinkham, who at that stage had left Taradale Rotary, talked about areas, and I think all the club members have really appreciated what actually happens in the rural area around us, and it's been a great gathering of rural and Rotary members, which is what it's all about.
Was very important here. Membership people, certainly in touch with the community. It's a wider bit than just the club rooms in Taradale. It's the Rotary Club getting out to the rural community, and it's working. So Rob has just picked up the point about on many of these rural urban get-togethers. There was also an occasion to fundraise to assist people like the baby rebuilding program. Any other springs to mind, gentlemen? There must be. We do this a lot.
Well, I remember the one at Risington, which was held in the Omatua complex, the Girl Guides complex up there, and they were just doing a little bit of fundraising, I think, for some external lighting, or they may have been putting some new appliances in their kitchen, and of course the crew up there gave us a lovely meal, and I think we just topped that up with, it might have only been $300 or $400, but to them it made all the difference.
Here the Roy was?
She was a member of Parliament, nothing to do with politics.
Exactly, and wasn't it a wonderful night? Anything more spring to mind?
The vicarage at Puketapu. I'm sure we made a contribution there.
We did the St Michael's Church at Puketapu had moved a church hall across from Hastings, and just to enlarge their space there, and we just gave them a very general contribution to that.
One of the annual activities of the club has always been the Rural Urban Night, and it's been going for the last 50 years. And tonight we're celebrating this function out at Puketapu, and I'm with Rob Patello and also Philip Alexander. What's the general reaction amongst the farming community towards this evening, this Rural Urban Night?
I think for me, being a rural person, this has been a great night, and it's been a night where you can invite your rural friends along. They thoroughly enjoy it. They get an understanding of what Rotary's about.
Philip Alexander, Philip, you I know very much one of the leading local lights around here.
I've been to most of these.
Have you?
Yeah, different venues, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. It's really great.
We were up there in Woolshed years ago a few times.
In a Woolshed? Oh yes. The Admiralty trees. You see that, you think.
I think a great night for me was with local historian Pat Parsons, who I've heard speak before, but came to the St Michael's Church Hall opening and gave us 20 minutes or half an hour of the local history, which was just outstanding. We've all benefited from that. It was fantastic.
First of all, this is not Puketapu right here at all, and you're probably aware that the name means Sacred Hill. Hence Sacred Hill Winery has borrowed it. They too are nowhere near the true Puketapu. If you want to go to Puketapu proper, go down to Springfield Road, turn right into Springfield, go to the first corner where the road dog legs, and you notice there's an isolated hill there with big old pines growing on it, just behind Greg Dooley's place. Now that is Puketapu. And down through the eras of Maori history, it always has been Puketapu.
So a question to all of you here. Do you feel that it continues to meet its original objective of promoting understanding between rural and urban in our community? Still doing that?
I don't think it is actually. I think we're losing the connection, the one-on-one thing. As I said before, because the federated farmers have fallen over, we can advertise it, but you still want to really get an personal invitation to bring guys along. I don't think they'll come just because we're making it sort of a public meeting.
Yeah, not because it's the day you do that sort of thing. More meaning behind it?
I think so.
I think it's developed into a one-way thing. We are getting still an understanding of things rural, but we're not getting any. It's not so much we're not getting any response, we're not asking them back.
I think that's a good point. For the rural guys to come in and actually see what Rotary does at a meeting and see, the business we discuss and our formalities and the things that we actually do in the community, and that will, we can easily have a year off from Horse of the Year and have a meeting with a good guest speaker and invite rural people in. But
don't think we should abandon Horse of the Year as an annual event. I think we should fit rural urban in as an annual event on its own and run the two of them each year.
That's what you're suggesting, I think, Bob. You have a rural urban and a Horse of the Year.
Look, it's constantly evolving. So, but I think I think it's still a great meeting during the year. There's no doubt about that.
It should be continued. It's a great bridge between both parts of the community. They then get to know the in-town ones, and the in-town get to know the out-of-town ones, and that's important when you're doing business relationships and friendships. As a footnote to our rural-urban story, I have here the original minute book of the Taradale Rotary Club. Taradale Rotary Club, the minutes of organisation meeting held in the supper room of the Town Hall at 5:45 p.m. on Wednesday the 21st of January 1959. This was 6 months before the charter night of the club. At this meeting you can see who was present: the District Governor, Kerslake, District Governor's Special Representative, Alexander, representatives from sponsors Club Napier. Of particular interest is the item on page 2. As we run down all the committees that were established, we come down to Rural Urban, Chairman Harry Clark and the committee of Jack MacDonald and Eric Mason. So we see that the concept of establishing a relationship between the rural and urban communities through the auspices of our Rotary Club has existed from the very beginning of the club, and as such represents the longest running activity within our club.